All right, welcome to our experience, the podcast of ASCP. I'm Chad Wurz, one of your hosts, Chief Executive for ASCP, alongside my partner, Tom Hansel, owner of Hansel Health. And we are thrilled today to be doing another one of our Pillars of Industry podcasts and have invited in Jag Khatter. Jag is a good friend to ASCP, has a great story to tell today. If you've ever met him, he always has a smile. He's always positive. He's always talking about the great things that the pharmacy has done and continues to do. And we're just thrilled to have you here, Jag.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you for this opportunity to tell my story, and feel very honored and a great pleasure.
Well, it's something that we've done in this podcast during season 1 and into season 2 is we can't move forward without looking back and recognizing people that have been so instrumental in this industry. And a lot of the next generation of pharmacists that are out there look at the former leaders and the current leaders and say, how did they get started? What did they do? And how do I apply that to what I'm doing today? And it's super important for an industry, particularly long-term care pharmacy, to continue to build on what it's done. So why don't you just open up and give us the whole story? Like, how'd you get here?
That's a long story, Chad. 40 plus year, but born and raised on the farm in a small town in India. And Grandpa was a village pharmacist. He will boil these herbs and roots, and I mean, not the pharmacist we know here who went to school and all that. Grandpa did not do any of those, but he was a medicine man, and that was fascinating for me. Except I didn't want to take care of 280 water buffaloes, so I decided to pack up and ended up from small town of 5,000 to LA. Went to Cal State Northridge undergrad, did not like the big town. And mountains have always inspired me because of foothills of Himalayas, and ended up Boulder, Colorado, not knowing anybody. And that was 1982, and I'm still here. Start mopping Walgreen floors, a couple of miles from campus, and enrolled in pharmacy school, graduated from CU Boulder, Colorado, and then worked for Walgreens for 3 years, and then decided to do community pharmacy in a different way. And I used to call the riches in the niches. Somehow in my career, you will notice one thing I've been able to do from the heart healthcare, and then use my mind to also produce some money, because there is no mission without margin. So worked for professional pharmacies, and this was a company which had outpatient pharmacies in hospital. So I had access to over 100 doctors, and I created every year almost a new program. So new program was on diabetes management, insulin start, lipid clinic, and that kept me going, which means I was learning. To me, it's very important that I continuously learn. And so that was a nice 9-year run. And then, competition came, and they got in diabetes, they got in lipid clinic and things like that. And I actually ended up in long-term care. At that point, it was American Pharmaceutical Services, which got purchased by Omnicare. Within a year, got promoted and went to Arizona for a year. And then my entrepreneur nerve kicked in, and I get uncomfortable when I'm getting comfortable with the job. After 5, 6 years, I'm just really like all of a sudden I need to have my stomach really hurting a little bit. So came and opened a senior med pharmacy in the basement with a couple other partners. We were 9 employees, and that became, I believe, one of the largest assisted living pharmacy in our country. We had, I did hub and spoke model, where I had a center in Colorado, and we shipped everywhere. I had more automation at that time. This is 2000, three, like AutoMed machine, and then a lot of people, let's say that. And we created the model where we were shipping cycles in assisted living. I was 100% assisted living that time, the largest assisted living, pure assisted living pharmacy. And then we got in hospice. My investor decided, let's sell it. And I reluctantly sold it because remember, I was a farm boy. I didn't have the majority ownership or anything. So anyway, CineMed got sold to Fortune 18 company called Walgreens. And Walgreens said, Jack, you come to us because you are mopping our stores. We have a history, and that is correct. So from mopping floors, I became VP of Walgreen Innovation and Diabetes Services. Diabetes is my true passion. I became CDE. Chad, I think I was the first or the second pharmacy CDE in the state of Colorado, and I still am, certified diabetes educator. So from there, Walgreens, great company, but Colorado is my home. This is my village, so to say, and I didn't want to move to Chicago. And there was a decision to be made, either come to Chicago or. So I decided to then take a month off, and then Mr. Abbott, Kent, came and he said, be my partner. Please don't compete with me. So I joined Farm Care, where I am today.
I mean, it's such a great story. Like, it's so inspiring. Like, all of the little turns to the road that you've been part of in your career. It's just, I have 1,000 questions. I'll let Tom start, but I have 1,000 questions.
Well, looking at the fact that you went to the University of Colorado, and me being a Steeler fan, I just think Cordell Stewart. So were you there when he threw this big bomb and got to see him play?
I was fortunate to be there those days. When Bill McCartney came as a coach, and CU, great campus. I actually found a true home, and hence I have never left Colorado. And I was there at that time when the ball you just mentioned. Yep. That's still a big CU fan.
Yeah, we got to get the most important thing out first, right?
Well, is that or how do you feel about Deion Sanders? I mean, that's the other question. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Didn't want to get go there yet, but no, I love the entrepreneur mentality, and I think this industry provides more probably entrepreneurs per capita, per working individual, because there's so many trails that we can blaze. There's so many opportunities. So I love that thought process, and I think more and more of us are doing that. And I know Chad's done that. I'm doing that now, and so forth. But where do you see as far as the opportunities that are here in America still today? So if you did have a young pharmacist that said, "Man, I don't want to go work for a Walgreens. I don't want to go work for an independent retailer," can you envision that entrepreneur spirit can still be alive?
Absolutely. I am, and I'm not done yet. I'm still thinking about the next project, maybe at a slower pace or at my pace. But one thing, Tom, we know for sure. Tomorrow we're going to see, 12,000 people, 10,000? I'm a number somewhere there, right? Every single day,
every day,
this many people are going to turn 65 in our great country. And the other line I tell sometime when people ask me why still long-term care, we are going to take care of them, Tom, right here, our mom, dad, grandparents. We are not going to, it's not something you can outsource.
Right.
Right? It's not like, okay, grandpa, we are, going to outsource your care. We are going to take care of us. And who takes the most medication? I know I'm preaching to the experts here. So that opportunity is there. The rest, you have to believe that we will figure it out.
Yeah.
When people ask me, well, why only assisted living pharmacy? Why are you not taking nursing home? I would not take nursing home business, period. I was true to what we said. We will be a pure assisted living pharmacy, and we stayed that way for 7 years. And yes, we learned so much. I mean, so opportunities are going to be there. They will be a little different. It's no different, Tom, when early days I did not understand assisted living because APS or Omnicare was mostly nursing home company. So get what I did. I went and spent few nights in assisted living. I just went and checked in. There's usually a room, you check in. And let me tell you, I could have never learned the pharmacodynamics and the aging population and how in the books, as I saw 89-year getting up and eating with them, talking with them, and sharing sometimes the room. So that opportunity is still there. Yeah, we may have to find something else. It may be technology, it may be robotic, it may be AI, but the opportunities, I just wish that I have 48 more years. I can continue doing and keep changing because I love it. Pharmacy has given me, Tom, everything I want or wanted, everything.
I think it's so interesting, your diabetes background as well, because you're riding a couple waves at the same time. Certainly the older adult population wave, but the diabetes wave is probably the second biggest wave in healthcare next to the aging population. And you're riding both of those waves. What's your opinion of diabetes care? We've got these new GLP-1s. Everybody wants them. They're extraordinarily effective. They're convenient. They help people lose weight, which is a big problem in this country. Where is diabetes care going, and where does the pharmacist play a role?
So diabetes started with my passion. Half of my family members have it. And when you have something passion, it just comes easy to you. Diabetes you're absolutely correct. Diabetes is still with me, literally in my blood. But business-wise, I had the biggest diabetes center in Colorado when I was running community pharmacy. I mean, remember when there was no Apple, none of that. We were doing insulin start with Dr. Cheney and Dr. Shulman group in Commerce City, Colorado. This is 1993. We didn't have a collaborative practice. We were not talking at that time provider status, and yet it did not stop us to do those things. So where we are today is, first of all, only thing we had there was sulfonylureas, and we had insulin. Look at all the new agents we have. We can control diabetes. We are doing better. But when you look at it, still, a lot of people, exact number I don't know, but somewhere around 40%, not that A1C of the ADA recommendation. So it's a chronic care. Diabetes is chronic care, and we need to invest more in chronic care management. GLPs are fine. I think amazing results. Another categories as well. But I still believe we got a lot of new therapeutic agents, but chronic care management has not been where the educational level, where the individual, the patient feels, I can control this disease. I can control this issue, because doctor, the pharmacist, nurse cannot be with the patient every single day or every single hour, but diabetes is. So I think we need to invest more in chronic care management, and diabetes is this is the biggest worldwide problem. I love the new agents, but I think we need to invest more in chronic care management.
That's awesome. I think what's really telling about you're so ahead of the game. Like 1993 diabetes clinics. We're still trying to get our feet into that world as pharmacists today. That's 30 years later, deciding to focus on assisted living. We're just now recognizing the opportunity, not only in assisted living, but in people that are homebound that require the kinds of services that pharmacists that provide to assisted living and skilled nursing provide. And you're just ahead of the game, and I think that's just really remarkable in your career, and so helpful as this whole environment and profession shift into those areas.
Well, part of that, actually, the credit does go to some of the leaders of ASCP. I mean, I can't thank you enough. How much I have gained from being a member since I think 88, 89, and only have missed, I think, couple maybe conferences because I was visiting my farm in India. But otherwise, I mean, look at all the leaders we had, Chad, and you know all of them better than I do. And I'm just so thankful to colleague who shared with me. They mentored me. I mean, I can name wise. I think it will take a whole hour. You know, whether it's Bob, whether it's Lee, whether it's Joanne. I mean, I can go on and on. And second thing, see, opportunity to me is America. Okay, yeah, a farmer's son whose mom and dad never went to school. Yes, I was mopping Walgreen floors. So what? I showed up in the corporate room as a VP. I think we can do that in America. That's only actually, I believe, only place we can do is. So it's not my story. Actually, story of believing. It's a story of our system, and it's a story of people who have really given me advice and mentored me.
Let me ask Jag on your experience as VP of innovation at Walgreens, right?
Yes.
This was back, I guess, by about 10, 15 years ago. And, you know, Walgreens certainly probably ahead of the game than most of our independent pharmacies out there. But tell me a little bit more about specifically when it comes to innovation and what you guys brought out to the industry, number one. And number two is, where's that gap still at when it comes to innovation in pharmacies?
Okay. Great question. So it was one of the best job or position I had because it was to dream, right? Innovation is, and by the way, this was new for Walgreens too. They had never done that. So they brought a pharmacist, couple physician, couple MBAs, and of course analysts, and they said, figure something out. And my area was to figure out something in diabetes. So it was a fun job, and of course, when you're dreaming, you know, you don't know exactly how it'll work out. But in my area, we worked a lot on bringing Walgreen pharmacists out of the behind the counter to in the front. I don't know if you remember, there were thousands of stores were modified where pharmacists were no longer standing on the back and they were in the front. So the layout was one thing. Other one was the diabetes alone. We worked on it with insulin pump. That was a big one. Insulin pumps were totally handled by the manufacturer. So if there is a tubing in the middle of the night or on Sunday, gets cut or it gets blocked, they had to pretty much send it like from California to wherever the person is overnight, and sometimes even plane couldn't get it there because these people are type 1, they needed insulin, or they had to go back to injection. So we worked out a program like this where we made those insulin pump supplies available locally. So that was one of the very good projects. Wellness-wise, the other one. And Walgreen and my history with them, whether it was the 24-hour stores or whether it was the, you don't have to get out of your car to pick up prescription, a lot of innovative ideas, even the computers. I think Walgreen was the first company to link all their computers so you can go to any pharmacy and get your profile. So definitely it was a lot of fun. We came up with few projects in diabetes area and many other like 90-day and so many other projects we did under innovation and the technology. I think those were some of the most memorable for me.
And what about that gap where you see where we're at now throughout the industry? Can you identify a couple of things that we have to do as long-term care pharmacies?
For the long-term care pharmacy, again, Walgreen never fully got into it at that time, right? They bought Senior Med, and then they exited, meaning Senior went back to Omnicare. So I don't think that they fully got into it. But in general, gaps in long-term care, I think that one of the gap I see is that reimbursement is not matching with the services we provide now. I think that's one gap. And the second is that we need to invest more in technology. Lots of long-term care pharmacies have moved in that direction, but I think there's a more room to go in there. But those are the couple gaps. If I'm starting a new pharmacy today, I will automate because cost pressures are there, cost containment. So you need to use technology to lower it because we are not getting any more reimbursement.
Right. Yeah.
Reimbursement, you look at it, Tom, it hasn't gone up yet. Labor costs, other costs, paper costs have gone up. So there are some gaps. So I think the technology can mitigate some of those gaps.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when people hear technology and AI, they often think it replaces people in jobs. And I think when you look ahead at the headwinds of the populations that we have to deal with, we're literally not going to have enough people to care for those people if we don't leverage technology, AI, and the other things. So it's not going to take anybody's job, but it's going to make them capable of caring more deeply and for more people, giving them the tools to do that. Yeah, and I think we have to look that.
Yeah, it's going to make it sustainable, but able to scale too.
Right.
You're not going to be able to scale, based on just number of employees.
Yeah, we're not going to have the people to take care of the people.
People take care of the
right.
people.
Yeah. Now, I agree, Chad. This is nothing new, right? 25, 30 years ago when we bought first pharmacy computers, right?
Yeah.
I know I'm sounding old. I have been practicing for 38 years now. So it was like, oh, computers are coming, so we will have to cut down help. Then we went ratio of what? Pharmacist to tech used to be 1-to-1, and then 1-to-2. And with all that, we still need more people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great analogy.
Well, these big pharmacies, and again, you entrepreneur to kind of a hub and spoke model, and you did it obviously because it was a better business strategy, but also could you imagine putting actual pharmacies and full pharmacies in all these different states? And so, the entrepreneurs and the pharmacies that are able to control their cost and do some kind of hub and spoke cycle model, I believe are scalable. They truly can, stretch across the nation, but not increase their operating cost to rates that are, consuming their reimbursement, which we continue to struggle with.
But your point about reimbursement is still critical. The pharmacy in general, pharmacists and pharmacies need to be reimbursed better for the services that they're providing. It solves a lot of problems. I mean, obviously that sounds, if we pay you more, it solves a lot of problems, but it really does. I mean, it really changes the way you staff a pharmacy, the way the pharmacist can engage with the public and the patients that they're taking care of. And we've kind of allowed the system to keep pressing on us from a reimbursement perspective, and we've got to figure out ways to push back. A lot of that, I know we've talked a lot about PBMs and PBM reform. That's part of it, but we need to get there, and we need to stop solving problems that don't address the reimbursement issue because it's so prominent.
So for years we saw Omnicare and PharMerica continue to acquire pharmacies, and then of course Omnicare got acquired by CVS. But I'm going to say a word, and in a couple sentences, I want to get your response on it. And thinking about just our industry focus, mergers and acquisitions. What's a couple sentence response that if you hear the word merger and acquisition, thinking about long-term care pharmacy, that you would provide?
So, Tom, they have slowed down, right? COVID came and things changed, but are they going to happen again more? I believe so, because not every operator is going to be able to keep this sustainability, the pressure of containing the cost, and then not be able to change. I think that there will be an M&A where number 3, 4 maybe can combine. I don't have a crystal ball, but that's my prediction that you will see that some of that M&A. But I do believe that smaller players, even the startups, somebody wants to start, they're going to have one huge thing, which they always had, is the speed. I wasn't the largest assisted living pharmacy. I could hardly pay our, payroll used to give me an anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm glad to pay, but it was not easy to make that. But the speed I had, I didn't have to wait a month. I didn't have to send 3 memos. I could say, you know what? This didn't work. Let me go visit my DON, spend a 2 hour. How are they using my product? It's not important that my process is 4 Sigma. It worked, but if it doesn't work for them, it's not working. So I think that merger and acquisition will happen because not everyone is going to keep up what it needs for today. We have to evolve. You don't evolve, we know what happens. So, but I also think that the opportunities for a smaller player absolutely going to be there because of the other advantages they have.
That's awesome. I agree with you. I think that it's always the source of innovation, always. And it's much harder to turn a cruise ship than it is a speedboat. And that's the analogy of business. I mean, that's where it all kind of starts.
So I have another word for you. Give me your couple sentence response. Adherence.
Adherence, with all the technology, Tom, should be a lesser issue. And we've been talking about it, I think, since Pfizer came up with a first program, and then Mevacor was launched, and adherence became a problem when they figured out people don't take Zocor or Mevacor or Lipitor. So I think we need to, again, it goes back. High technology, I love it, I use it, but I never forget the high touch. Unless you give me a good reason, like I need to take this medication. So I will give you one story. I was at one of the assisted living. Obviously, diabetes always, I love to talk if I get the opportunity. This person does not want to take metformin or whatever other medication. He said, I don't really care. I just want to eat whatever I want to do. I said, do you have grandchildren? Because when you tell him retinopathy, nephropathy, neuropathy, none of that mattered to him. He said, I don't care. When I told him, you will have more energy for grandchildren when you come on their visit rather than you being tired and, sleepy, you will have more energy. Guess what? He became adherent. So I think we need to understand why are they, is it economic issue? For some people, Tom, I'm sad to say, in our own country, and that's one thing. Again, if I have years, I got project. There is no retirement in Jag's life. I think that's too boring. So we need to work on it still, and we need to get to the root cause, and I don't think it's all economic.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's relationship. We can't ever lose relationship. I sometimes I get disenchanted that the pharmacy of the 50s, was a focal point of the community, and the pharmacists knew everything about the family and the people that came in, and they had those relationships. And we keep moving away further and further away from relationships. Your point about positioning the pharmacist up front is about relationship. It's about, I can trust this person that I talk to when I come to the pharmacy. We need to continue to make those innovations, whether it's through telehealth or how we do it. It can't be, and there are companies out there that do sort of like the Uberization of pharmacists. Like, you click this app and a pharmacist shows up and they can talk to you about your meds. Well, I don't want that. I want the same one. I want it to be the same one that I'm comfortable talking to. I don't want any random, for picking me up and taking me to the airport, that's fine. But if I'm talking about my health, my drugs, I want to talk about somebody that I know, that I trust. And we have to somehow hang on to that and continue to find ways that pharmacists can fill that.
Yeah.
Because that's the difference in healthcare.
Totally agree. Simple thing towards adherence could be, and there is some data out, rather than a robotic call, some coming, hey, this is time to take your Lipitor. Now you put the daughter or a son voice. Hey, mom, hope you're doing well. Love you. Take your medication. Guess what? Totally different result.
Yeah, 100%.
So use the technology, but let's not forget we are the human side of
We
it,
are
the
people,
touch side
right.
of it.
Yeah.
We are people.
That's the challenge. Scale, but keep that
That's the
personal touch, right?
Well, Jag, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you for what you've done for ASCP and for pharmacy in general, and continue to do. I know we're excited. Our annual meeting is in Denver. Your pharmacy and you are in Denver, in that area. So we'll expect some home game type of activities there with you. And I know our members always enjoy meeting and talking to you. So we look forward to that. There's other things, like there's advocacy things that have come up that are important from an ASCP perspective. I just got an email yesterday from Jim that one of the representatives from your area, Representative DeGette, I think is her name, is going to be very prominent on one of the Energy and Commerce committees, and that we might do an event for her in our meeting in Denver. And that puts you front and center. You articulate who we are as good as we can articulate who we are, and I love putting you in front of people that can explain why pharmacists are so important and why our profession is so important. So thank you for that.
Thanks to both of you, and thank you for ASCP, what it has done for me. And yes, it is my turn to give back, and you're coming to Denver. Anything, anytime, Chad, you call on me and I'll be there.
Do you think we can get Cordell to show up? And
what about Dion? What about Dion?
You can play for Pittsburgh. I don't want to. Jag, by the way, you have.
I can try.
By the way, you have the coolest name in pharmacy. I just want to let you know that. So
it is.
I mean, we're talking about Tom and Chad here. That's such boring names, but
Jag is
love the name
name.
Jag, right?
Yeah.
That sounds powerful. Sounds cool.
That's some other story. But yes, it is a cool name, and I like it.
Well, thanks so much, Jag. Like I said, you're one of the best of us, and we appreciate you sharing with our members and with our profession. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. See everybody
Bye.
next time on the Our Experience podcast.